underdog. I've been through it all. I can never...
What's good, you guys? Welcome back to For the Underdogs podcast. I hope this episode finds you well. Something that I've mentioned over, the past couple of episodes is the importance of having hobbies outside of what you mainly do. Like for me, I was always primarily a football player, but I felt like I fell short in the category of having other things to focus on and kind of expanding my mind and, trying new things and challenging myself. This person that I have here today, I feel like embodies that. And, I'm super excited to talk to him because I just want to dive into his mind of how he thinks of things and, his whole process. And that person's Justin Bethel.
What's up?
Yeah, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm chilling, man. As you can see, I took my daughter to, I just realized that I still got my daughter from the Children's Museum. Today, so.
Yeah, it's all good.
Don't mind it.
No, for sure. I appreciate you coming. I want to read something off real quick because this is crazy. 2-time first team All-Pro, 3-time Pro Bowler, came into the league in 2012 as a 6th-round draft pick. 177th overall pick out of Presbyterian. Where's Presbyterian?
South Carolina. Clinton, South Carolina.
Bro, you've been in the league 12 years now.
Yeah. It's been a long time.
How does that make you feel when you think about, all these accomplishments are great, man. Yeah. Like to have that, but also be so well diverse in what you do outside of the field. I just kind of want to get into that and see where your mind is with all of that.
Yeah, it's definitely a blessing that I played as long as I did. I remember when I was coming out from PC, I was like, man, if I can just play 7 years, I'll be good. And then, God willing, I got to 7, and it's like, dang, I still feel kind of...
Still feel good.
I feel good. And then, you get older, and you get to 10, it's like, okay. And I think it's funny, though, because, when you're 21, 22, you're like, when you think 30, you're like, 30's old.
A long time away.
I'm 34 now. I'm like, man, I ain't old. What you talking about? And so now I understand when, you got younger people talking, man, oh, you old. It's like, don't wait till you get here. You're going to feel young, too.
Man.
But, no, it's funny because, when I was in high school, I never, that wasn't what I thought. I thought it was going to be a way to pay for school. I took culinary all in high school, and I wanted to go to, originally I wanted to go to Johnson & Wales. Yeah. And then I realized, I was going to have to pay for that. So it's like, okay, maybe if I can walk on to South Carolina, get a scholarship there, then I can take the culinary program there. Yeah. And then my high school coach, who coached me my junior year, ended up leaving after we won state, went to Presbyterian. Okay. And we were going through, end of the year, going through the, the recruiting process, all that stuff. He came to me. He's like, hey, man, come here. We can give you a full ride. I think you'll be able to make, play right away. I'm like, free school.
Yeah.
Trying to pay for it.
Yeah. Go free.
So, I ended up going there, man. And everything kind of worked out how it was. They didn't have a cooking thing, so I ended up getting my degree in business management. Okay. I wanted to minor in music. I didn't really take all the credits that I needed, but I did all the music. I was in jazz band. Yeah. I was in pep band. I was doing all that stuff to kind of, continue doing music stuff because I grew up in a musical family, grew up playing in church. My dad sings.
Yeah, we're going to talk about all of that.
And then lo and behold, I'm playing real. We were not that good as a team. I think we won 8 total games in my 4 years. We weren't very good, but I think I just did a really good job of, when I was out there, it showed that I was, I looked like the best guy out there when I was on the field. So, ended up going to the draft. I got drafted, got to Arizona, never had been out here before. I was like, I didn't even know where Arizona was. I remember coming to the facility, and they had a cactus in the front. I called my parents. I was like, man, they got cactus out here just sitting around like they trees, just growing up in the middle of the street.
And that was what, 2012?
Yeah, that was 2012.
So imagine what it looked like out here at that time.
Yeah, there was not. It's funny because I remember when I first got here, there was a whole bunch of empty lots. Now it's all filled with duplexes, complexes, and all kind of stuff. So, man, it's definitely been a blessing to be able to play that long, healthy. And it's been fun. It's been a fun ride. I got to meet a lot of cool people, do a lot of cool things.
For sure. Yeah, that's definitely a blessing. Talk to me about what it's like because I played offensive line.
Yeah.
You know, we don't come off the field. If you're
Yeah.
playing, you don't come off
Yeah.
the field. Tell me what it's like as a special teams guy, and you only get a certain amount of plays to kind of leave your imprint on the game.
Yeah.
And you managed to do that at a high level for so long and be one of the best to do it.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the mindset behind that and how you kind of stay wired in the game, knowing that you might have 15, 20 plays through a game. Is that the right amount of numbers?
Yes. Usually you're going to get, I think, if it's all special teams, and this is like including field goal block, because obviously I'm not big enough to be on field goal. So yeah, I'm going to get probably like 15, depending on, you know, how we're doing, 15 to, let's say, 22.
Yeah.
And for me, like, if you're scoring a lot, now you're going to have – if you're scoring a lot, you're going to have a lot of kickoffs, not as many punts. So, like, kickoff, punt, in my mindset was, okay, if they return it, some way, somehow, I should be able to make every tackle. And that's like, if I don't – unless they fair catch it or something like that, I always thought, like, even if I don't make a play or something, I'm like, dang, if I would have just swam this dude this way, maybe, or if I would have just took a step this way, I could have made that tackle. And, like, I always take every play – or like, okay, what can I change up to make that next play that when it happens?
In the game.
In the game,
itself,
because it's like you're only going to get on kickoff and punt. Nowadays, the way kickoff is, they just kicking it out the back, so that's pretty much gone. But punt, it's like, unless you just, like, you're really backed up and he kills it, and you just really beat your guys bad, and he returns it, you're only going to get maybe 2, 3, maybe there's only like 4 opportunities a game to make a tackle. Yeah. So it's like you got to make the most of those because they stack up 1 or 2 a game. You start stacking up like they don't come that often. So when I miss one, it's like, man, I can't believe like
those are valuable.
Yeah, it's like everyone's like, man, I can't believe I just ran 60 yards for no reason.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I take it in like whatever I can do, and then I've always enjoyed blocking kicks. Like, that was something I've been doing since I was in high school. And so, for me, like, that's another opportunity, too. It's like, okay, they scored. Well, let me try and come off the edge and see if I can block this somehow. And that 1 point, because, you know, that 1 point can be the difference between, okay, now we got to score at the end of the game, or we can kick a field goal and tie it kind of thing. So, like, my mindset was, like, has always been like that. Or if it's a field goal, it's like, okay, let's block this, you know, we block it, we can run it back, or, you know, get the offense the ball back. So
I think it's so interesting because a lot of people don't, when they watch football, you know, they don't factor in special teams until it matters, you know, until the kicker misses it or someone blocks a kick. And, you know, me growing up in football, I know how important it is and how serious those guys take their jobs and how serious you guys are about it. What was the years that you were all pro, the years that you were a Pro Bowler, what was the feel like for you? So you do it at a high level every year, but what was the difference in those years in which you were able to get those accolades? I
was in a good situation. My first 2 years, we had a really good punter, Dave Zastadil. He was an older guy, a lefty. And so, like, I always knew exactly where the ball was going. I knew how far it was going to go. And
that attention to detail.
And it was just like it was like a lot of the little things, like, you know, I knew on kickoffs, I knew this guy, they were going to do this specific thing. If I do this and that, I know I can get down there. And they always gave me, like, the freedom to kind of, you know, do whatever I want, but inside of, you know, whatever the scheme is. And those years, I just got a lot of opportunities. When Bruce Arians got there, we were a very, like, aggressive team, and so, like, we could score really fast, but sometimes, like, it'd be like, okay, we didn't score fast, we might have went 3 and out, but so we ended up punting a lot more, but we would still score. We could still score a lot, but if we didn't score, it was like it was happening fast, so we would still punt a good bit. So I was getting a lot of opportunities. And I think I was younger still, so, you know, people weren't paying as much attention to me. And, like, the more you start making a name for it, you get more singles and all that stuff. But then the more you start hearing about, just like, okay, double team that guy, triple team that guy. So it makes it harder. Like, even
that's gotta feel good though, from an aspect of from being a performer. Like, when people are starting to put your name on that bulletin board, like, he's a problem.
It's funny now because when I used to go out there, like last year, I'd go out there, and anytime I had a double team, I'm like, come on, I'm the old guy, man. Go double the other guy. Why y'all doubling me, man? Leave me alone.
You are the old guy.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think about.
Oh, man. And I always tell people, I'm like, when they ask about football, I'm like, yeah, I'm football old, but like real life, this is like the prime of when a lot of people, like, they're just not getting in their careers.
Absolutely.
They're really starting to excel and all that stuff. So for me now, even if I don't play this year, like, I'm excited to
be in that phase.
Yeah, to be in that phase where I can like start a new career.
Yeah.
And watch that part excel, because we still got so much life to live.
Absolutely. In the grand scheme of things, it's like, I'm 32.
Yeah.
I stopped playing 2 years ago when I was 30.
Yeah.
And like you said, a lot of guys are in their prime, or we're supposed to be hitting our primes when we're in our 30s.
Yeah.
Like, this is when things are kind of picking up for you. You start to figure out what you like, and networking and business things. Like, and I think it segues perfect because you have all these other interests outside of football. And it's special to me because, like, typically when you see guys that are really great at what they do, that is the only thing they focus on. But you have curated this whole other side to your hobbies that I feel like is dope, like music. And not just like you can read sheet music, you know what I'm saying? Like you can play multiple instruments. Deep sea diving.
Yeah, scuba diving.
Scuba diving.
We jump out airplanes, all that.
Jump out of airplanes. Funny story. We were at your house a couple of weeks ago, and you like, man, can I get my goggles? Somebody get my goggles.
I had to pull the goggles out.
I'm thinking it's gonna be some regular goggles. This man pulled out the deep sea, diving goggles.
Yeah, to show y'all how to clear the water.
Yeah, like for real. Man. But I think it's so dope because a lot of guys don't have that, and that's kind of something that I've focused on the last couple of episodes. Of like, we gotta have those things, because it does challenge you and it helps you grow. Can you talk about these interests that you have? Like, what kind of, I know you say your dad played music and you grew up kind of, seeing that as a hobby. Talk about that and how that's been influential in your life.
Yeah, so growing up, my dad has always been like the minister of music or wherever church we played at. So I've always been around music all my life. All my uncles, cousins, most of them play some kind of instrument. They sing or do something.
Yeah.
One of my cousins, they actually sing for Take Six. So it's like when you grow up around it, it's like it's just kind of part of who you are. And like that was something that I always did, even like when I was in high school or middle school and I was playing football. I always knew like Saturdays, like
was the music.
Saturdays, hey, we going to church. We're gonna be at practice for about 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
You're going to make it do what it do and just enjoy it.
And now you got a whole studio room in the house,
I just, like, because it's like I just always wanted to keep that part. I've always kept a drum set. Like, when I first moved out here, I bought an electric drum set just so I can play in my apartment. And then, like, once I moved into my house, I was like, man, I need to get a real set. And then you start, Instagram and everything started getting more popular. And I was like, man, it'd be cool to just, post some videos, like, record some stuff, and so I mean, like I've got the financial means to do it. So I'm like, man, I'm gonna just do it, and I like doing it, and it's been fun, man. What
type of? I'm sure it offers you some sort of like therapeutic release when you get to do those type of things, like take your mind off of something, or
yeah, for sure.
What is that? What is that feeling like?
I think for me, like when I'm playing, it's like, kind of that's all you kind of think about. It's like you're in the moment. I'm thinking about, okay, I'm playing the music. I'm running through the music in my head. I'm thinking of, okay, how can I do this? Like before I record, when I record something, I probably play the song tens of times to like see what feel I like better, like what groove I liked a little better when I was playing it. And I'll have multiple recordings of the same song that I played, and then I kind of I'll play through them and kind of listen through. It's like, okay, which one sounded the best? But then it's like, I just like playing it. So I like tinkering with the stuff, making sure all my sound stuff sounds good, making sure levels, like I've been really getting into like the EQing part of the mixing and all that stuff. So it's been like, I'm one of those people who, when I get into something, like I dive into all the way. Like,
I think that's ingrained in athletes though. Like, we kind of like, when we start liking something, we have to go all in.
Like I do, like I remember, and I still do it, but like when I first got into camera, like taking pictures and stuff, it's like, okay, I'm gonna get a nice camera, I'm gonna get a nice lens, and then it's like, oh, then I got into doing drones, do that. I got a drones and all that stuff. Like I got into like I was doing. Like I'm even doing some podcast stuff. I'm like, I gotta get me a microphone. Man. I gotta get me a nice little camera.
I got the whole package at the house, bro. It's ridiculous. Like,
so it's like, yeah, you're like, man, I gotta, I just get into it.
Yeah.
But I'm with that. Like, I'll get a new game on my phone or something, and I'm just like,
yeah. Oh, you're.
I gotta get on. I'm like that with everything.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think it's a good thing though. Like I think my wife always says, like she's like that's one thing she appreciates. Like when I came home from football, like
there was other
things.
It
was like it wasn't like I'm like I never brought any of my football stuff like to the house. It was like because for me it was just like okay, that was my job, I'm done. Like if I had to watch film or something like that, I would do that. But like the emotion part of it, I never brought that to the house because it was like, man. I mean, home is for me is like where I want my
safe place.
Yeah, that's my safe place where I'm supposed to be able to calm down and relax. But if I come home and like it's still, the facility's back at home with me. Man, now you're just stressed out.
I think that's so dope that you're able to do that because I think for a while I had the issue of bringing my work home. From an offensive line standpoint, it's so high stress. You know what I'm saying? Like sure. I gotta study 4 different guys. I gotta do this and that. Like, and it started to. I think when I started to notice I was getting past the playing football phase was when I started being tired of bringing my work home. Like, I was like, I'm ready to let it go. You know, like that was something big for me. But you said something about being in the moment. Like when you play music, like, and that's like when I think of that as being present, like you are somebody that has that trait of being present wherever you are. Like there's always that focal point on whatever you're doing. Yeah. And you said like you get a game and you're in it, but
and that's like for
it's
me,
a blessing and a curse.
It's because like I'm present on what I'm focused on. So sometimes it's bad. Like my wife will get at me sometimes. Like if I'm on my phone and it's like she wants me to watch a movie or something, I'm like.
Yeah,
I'm here, babe.
Yeah.
I'm reading my manga or something, but I'm focused. I promise. Yeah. So it's like a good thing and a bad thing, but like for sure, it definitely helps to like when you can like cooking. I cook too, so it's like it's nice to be able to. Like yesterday, I made some chicken.
You say you say you cook, bro. You like a chef, bro.
Yeah,
like, man. You gotta don't sugarcoat it, bro. Tell them you really know how to plate food and all that.
Yeah, yesterday I made some I just did some rice and my wife don't like mushrooms, but I did like sauteed mushrooms with like a little wine reduction with some cream and stuff.
Anybody that cooks with wine knows how to cook.
Well, you gotta burn the alcohol off.
Yeah.
But like I want to get back to cause for a while I was doing I was like posting like desserts I would do, and I always like desserts. So that's what I wanted to go to school for, was like culinary, like baking and stuff, because I always felt with desserts is like they're always so pretty. Like when you look at them, you go to the store, I go to Whole Foods, I'm like, man, look at those desserts. Everything looks so delicious. But I wanted to start like, posting more like of my cooking and stuff like that, cooking and music and whatever else I end up doing. But nah, man, it's another thing too, especially now having with my daughter.
Yeah.
It's watching them be able to kind of like, she likes being in there. She's like, can I help and do this?
Absolutely. Same with my daughter. Yeah. I would like to say I can cook, bro. I am not a chef, but I can throw things together. You know
I think the only thing is different. I feel like if you can call yourself a cook if you can take ingredients and just put them together and make something that's edible.
Then I'm a cook.
You'll cook. Now, if you like, my wife, she can cook if she has she can follow a recipe book to the T and it's gonna be good. Yeah. So it's just a difference. Like this is like a different working in the mind, but it's to each their own.
Yeah, you mentioned that you a father. Shout out to all the girl dads out there, because likewise, you know what I'm saying. What kind of influence do you think you having with all these different hobbies? Do you see yourself kind of implementing your daughter to have those same passions or like multiple passions like you do? How do you feel like that impacts your daughter and kids as well, you know?
I think that it will have an impact on her because they're watching us. Everything you do, they see it. And I think as she grows up, like she'll find out which ones she likes or doesn't like.
Yeah.
Like for me growing up, my dad, because he was like a musician, like, and his work schedule was different than a regular 9 to 5. So I always saw him. He was always practicing, you know, doing his music stuff, but he always cooked. And so it's like one of those things I just saw. It's like, yeah, that's, you know, you cook. That's what you cook. You play music. You do your thing. And like even
it's normal. It's normal.
It's normal. Like even my brother's my younger brother. He plays trumpet. He does real estate, and he cooks like every Thursday. He like cooks something. He be cooking like crazy stuff, but he cooks too. But I think it's just something. Even my older brother. Like we all do something with music. We all got our main, whatever our job is, but we all have music and other stuff that we're interested. Like all of us, me and all my brothers were into like anime, manga, all that stuff. So we have a whole bunch of different interests. And I think it's just because, you know, we saw our dad with different interests and it wasn't like this was all he did.
Yeah. I think that's super important. Like when I think about, I was reading something the other day, and it's like, you know, when your kids see you work out consistently or they see you go to a gym, they believe that is normal. Like, you know, where so many people have these fears of walking into a gym. Yeah. And if you just show your kids that that's normal, they'll continue to kind of just pick up that habit because they believe that, you know, it's what everyone does.
Because I feel like for kids, their normalcy is going to be what they saw growing up.
For
like
sure.
If they're used to, you know, mom or dad comes home and they're stressed out because of work. They're going to grow up thinking, yeah, when I come home, I bring work home. That's what it is. It's part of it. They see you.
Damn, you dragging me right now. Hey, he's dragging me. Nah, I'm just playing.
And then it's like you said, we're working out. Like my dad also was another thing. Like I used to love going to the gym with him. I remember he used to have this. I'll never forget it because it was the best taste. It was the best tasting protein I remember ever having. It was like this banana flavored, and I think that's what I love. But yeah, it was like this banana flavored protein he had in like a cabinet, and I think that's why it's my favorite. And I used to love that stuff. But it was like that kind of stuff. Like I remember going to the gym with him trying to work out, and I always saw, even to this day, like I'm like I can't get out of shape because my dad is he's 50. Let's see, he's about to be 57. Still has like almost he's got like I say a 5.5 pack. But he's still built in shape, like a good looking dude, like takes care of himself. And so like he's like, I'm trying to keep up with y'all. I'm like, nah, man, you trying to make us look bad. Luckily I'm a professional athlete. It's
sure.
built into me. So,
but it is built into you though, because you did watch that process as you grew up, and I think that's so important. Like for me, I've been trying to curate that. You know, like I know what. You know, for me, I know what that looks like. And I want my daughter and our kids, you know, if we have more to have that same perspective of like, I'm cool to go do this. Like, I know that this doesn't make me nervous to go do this, you know, because I seen dad do it or I seen mom do it. Yeah. Like, I think that's important.
Yeah, I mean, it is. And I mean, you just can't be scared of, you know, even if like, I think it comes to a point too, like, even if you didn't grow up at a certain age, like if you didn't see that, like it's gonna be up to you to decide. Like
it gets harder though. It gets harder to break that. As you definitely get older.
As you get older, the habits, like you built that habit, so it gets harder. But at some point, that's like where you got to make the decision. Like, okay, this is what I'm doing, but this is what I want. Yeah. And like it's easy to just be like, oh yeah, just change your habit and do this and do that. But, you know, there's so many other aspects to it to just be like, you can't, it's not always just like, just flip the switch and start
people
doing
have
this.
A real fear of doing some of those things that they don't consider normal. Yeah. Talk to me about, you say you jump out of planes, deep sea diving. What in your mind tells you that this is what you want to do?
So it's funny. So I didn't think I was that kind of person either, and I think it's because of my wife. So when we first met, I remember we were dating, and she was like, "I just always wanted to, you know, skydive." So I'm like, "Come on, baby, we got it. Let's go do it." So me, her, and her dad, we go.
Her dad's into it.
No, he just went with
Oh,
us that one time.
okay. I was about to say.
So
she
we went.
thinks it's normal.
Yeah. So we went and jumped out of a plane. We skydived. We skydived down here in Arizona, and then when I was playing in Atlanta, we were like planning a trip to go to Australia, and so this is how the scuba part came. We're like, yeah, I was like, let's go to Australia. We'll go do all this. She's like, well, we can't go to Australia and not scuba dive the Barrier Reef. I'm like, oh, yeah, we can.
Yeah, we can.
So she's like, oh, I'm gonna look up some places, and it just happened to be like, I was like, God must just want us to do it, because like we looked up a scuba place. There's literally a scuba shop 5 minutes around the corner from us. So we did all our lessons like about 2 weeks or so before we went. We did like a weekend, a 3-day like course of being in the pool for like hours at a time, doing all our tests and all that stuff to get certified.
Yeah.
Did it, drove down to Florida to do our certification dive. And then like that next week we flew down to Australia.
So it's no hesitation with you. Like you just like, if something seems, if you want to do something, you're going to do it.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna try it out. Like
there's no thought process behind it.
No, not really. But and then once you do, it's like, oh, this is like you experience, and it's like the one thing I wouldn't do though. I don't want to do bungee jumping. Something about bungee jumping.
Yeah,
when I see it, I'm like, in my mindset, it's like, okay, if I skydive,
but you'll jump out of a plane, but you won't.
Yeah, because bungee jumping, it's like if something happens, it's like you're gonna survive it, but you're gonna be hurt up. Something's gonna be wrong. Yeah. If something go wrong with skydiving, it's like, well, Jesus. Man, I see it a little bit.
You got some time.
Here it comes. And then scuba diving, it's like, it's not as like when you've done the training and you've done it like in the pool and all that stuff, like you have a lot more your comfort level, because you know what the things not to do, you know what could go wrong. And like, so now when we go under, it's like you're under there. I think our longest dive was like 45 minutes. So you're under there just.
And how deep?
I think maybe 60 feet.
Yeah, that's deep.
Yeah. It is.
That's deep. Maybe 60 feet is deep.
It's funny though, because like the coolest thing though, I didn't realize, like when you get your scuba license down in Atlanta, if you're like scuba certified, you can get in the aquarium and swim with all the fish. So that was probably our favorite thing.
Oh, you did that?
Yeah. So
That's
we did
dope.
it. We right when we came back from Australia, we were like, she looked it up and saw it. I was like, oh yeah, let's go do it. So it's cool because it's like they got whale sharks. They got all the different like.
I feel like I'm too big to be in a pool of water with some sharks and whales. Like,
but see, like it's funny to always tell people. I'm like, when you see sharks, you ever see like on Shark Week, whatever, and they have the stuff and they're like just swimming with the fish, but they're not bothering them. Yeah, because you don't look like food to them. Like when you're on the surface, most of the time when they're attacking, it's like they're attacking to the surface, and that's why people get attacked. Usually, it's like if you're on a surfboard, you look like a big turtle or a seal or something. So they're coming. They're not unless you're great whites. Great whites will attack you.
Man said a big turtle.
They don't know. They just see something. They just see something on the top. Nice thing about turtle. This is the sign for turtle. If you're scuba diving and you see a turtle, that's the sign.
Talk to me about the sense of, is it a sense of accomplishment after you do those things? Because I feel like for me, if I do something like that, then I'm gonna want that feeling again at some point. I think
that's how my wife is. Like, and most of that stuff is like the scuba diving and the skydiving. It's like she wants to do it, so I'm like, I know how to do it. And I think this is like the competitor. It's like I like, if I'm gonna do something, I want to be able to do it. Yeah. Like we were talking about, we're like, okay, like especially once I finish playing, it's like let's go get our skydiving license. Like be able to go, because if you don't have your license, you got to go tandem. So you got to have somebody else. So we're like
on your back.
Yeah. So we're like, let's go get our license and all that stuff. Yeah. So yeah, no, I'm like, if we're gonna do it, let's just do it all the way. But no, it's cool though, like being able to say like, oh yeah, I know how to do that. Oh yeah, I can do that. So it's interesting, but it's fun for sure.
What does it feel like? Tell me what it feels like. Is there a sense of peace in the ocean when you're 60 feet?
Oh, for sure, because you're just floating. Like it's. So you have on your.
I'm asking this because, like, to me, there's something wired in you that I'm trying to get to the bottom of, like, why you feel it's not a bad thing. I truly want to know, like, what's in your mind that tells you or that has you do these things and you find enjoyment in it. I just want to know.
I think it's just like the new experience of it is something outside of the normal. Like,
Yeah.
can you float? Because I can't float.
I can float.
Yeah, see,
I mean, I don't know how long, but I can float.
So like,
you know?
for me, like scuba diving, when we were doing our lessons and stuff, it's kind of like learning all the little things. But then when you're doing the sections of like, okay, we're gonna practice our buoyancy of being able to float in the pool and stuff, and it's like, even though it's something, it feels dangerous. Like it seems like it'd be something dangerous, but it's like it's a new skill. It's like that thing. It's like it's a new skill. It's like, well, okay, well, this is something we need to be able to do. Let me learn how to do it to the best. And I want to be like when we in the class, I want to be like, oh yeah, y'all had the best buoyancy of the day. Y'all was like me and my wife would they tell us like, yeah, y'all did a good job. You know, y'all's buoyancy looks really good. We're like.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Check that out.
You know. So it's like I think it's a little bit of that and
the new skill piece.
Yeah, it's like it's like the new skill thing. It's like
I can get with that.
Yeah.
Because I do feel like when I unlock a new skill of mine or when I learn something new, there is that piece in my mind that I feel like
it's like
it's freeing. Yeah, it feels good, especially like challenging things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Because at first, and it's always at first, it's like when I first started learning how to play guitar, I've been playing. I was originally playing every day since the beginning of this year, but like picking up instruments is I don't know why, but it's always been a little easier for me. Like so, like I'm learning the guitar, but I mean when I first started doing this, like I always thought like, man, I can't play guitar because like when I try to play a chord, my fingers won't fit, and then as I started playing, it's like, oh, I actually can do this.
Yeah.
And then like the more you do it, it's like it gets easier, and it's like, oh, this is like I remember when I could only hit single notes or something, and now it's like, oh, I can play songs and all that stuff. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's like that. I think it's that thrill of learning something new and realizing
and being good at it.
It's like a kid when they do something they couldn't do before, and they're so excited. I think that's the kind of feeling.
I wish I had that same feeling when I do something new, but I do feel good when I accomplish something. Like, so I can get with that. If you're saying like it's that feeling of accomplishing a new skill,
yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah, I think that's what it is for me. I think it's like when I try something new, it's like I want to try to be the best. Like I don't think I'm gonna be the best at everything I do.
Yeah.
But like I'm gonna give my effort to at least until I run out of steam. But like give it all I can to try and be the best at it that I think I can be. As if I keep on trying, because I can see. It's like how you do certain things, like you'll do it and it's like, oh, I can be good at this.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I see myself getting to that point of like, oh, I'm pretty good at this.
Nah, I can get with that. That's why I feel like podcasting. Like my first episode compared to now.
It's like, yeah.
Man. And we're only 12, 13 in, but even just the progress of like me taking it serious.
Yeah.
I can start to feel that, that skill picking up, and it's easier for me to get there.
And it's nice when you can see it too.
Yeah.
Like you said, like with a podcast, it's easy because you can go back and watch them, and you can like.
Oh, and I critique myself on everything.
It's like you can go back and see like, I'm definitely not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
Or it's like you can see the comfort level changing. Like the first time you do one, it's like, oh, okay, let's.
Yeah. Oh man, you should see my first one. My first one was hectic.
You're like, yes sir.
Yeah, nah, it was bad, dog. It was bad. Do you think that is like the football wired in us?
Trying to perfect it.
Yeah, because like we watch film on ourselves every game, and like me, I was to the point of like I looked at every step that I took, every way my hand was, and everything to the point where like if I wanted to change it, I was gonna get it down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Do you think that is the football in us, or do you think without that you would still have that same passion behind it?
I think I still would, because I think for me it started with music. Because I remember when I was first learning to play the drums, my dad used to make me sit and play the drums. He'd be like, okay, you got to play with this drum track, and you got to play with it exactly with no mistakes. I need you to play through it for like 10, 15 times through, and then you'll be done. And I remember I used to play and be like, I hate this, but I would do it because it's like, you know, you can feel you feel yourself getting better. And then I would always, once that was over, once I let's say I was trying to practice like a triplet roll or something, and
please explain what that is, because I have.
So it's like a 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
It's like a triplet in a quarter.
I got you.
A quarter, 1, 2, 3, 4 beat, I guess. So like those are the kind of things. It's like you practice a fill, and it's like a drum fill, and it's like I suck at it at first, but you see that kind of progression. It's like, okay, I remember last month when I was doing this, I wasn't doing it this clean, and now it's like, oh yeah, it's coming to me easy now. So I think I've always kind of had that thing. It just always was kind of dependent on where was that energy focused at. Yeah. Like even with cooking, when I was taking culinary class, like I always wanted to try and make the best whatever. Like I was always trying to make the best dish of the day or whatever like that.
You don't seem like you put a lot of pressure on yourself to do that though. Like does it just flow? Because you don't seem like you have that heavy pressure.
I don't really stress about nothing. I'm like if I do something like football wise, so like if I'm playing in a game and there's like a tackle or something that I missed that I'm like, man, I should have made that, or I should have found a way to make that happen. Like I'll like in that moment, like I'm stressing over it, but I don't like carry it. Like once it's over and it's like, well, it's done.
You
like,
hit that reset button. Quick.
Yeah, it's like once it's done, it's done. I mean, I can learn from it, but like me stressing over it ain't gonna change what happened. So it's like, okay, next thing, and then I just kind of move on to it.
Man, I aspire to be, I aspire to have that type of reset, but I think I do a pretty good job within the sport. You have to be able to do that to some capacity, but I think for me, I've always been super self-critical.
Yeah, which is important.
Yeah, which is important to an extent.
Yeah, to an extent.
And I've always been a sort of a perfectionist when it comes to everything I do. And I think there's a piece of me that, you know, I know it's because of football, and I know it's because I was like so hypercritical of the things I did. Yeah. But I also aspire to be able to just let things flow. And I've done that with like this of like watching things back and just being like, I said what I wanted to say. Yeah. It came out the way it wanted to. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, that feels so freeing to me to have that piece of like, hey, it is what it is. I know if I'm doing something, I'm doing my best at it, you know? And I got to like lean on that at the end of the day, that I put my best effort into it.
Which is kind of how it is. That's all you can do is, I think at the end of the day, it's like nothing's ever going to be perfect. There's always going to be something that it's like, I probably could have changed this. I probably could have changed that. But like in that moment, that was the best I could have did. It's easy to look back on something and be like,
absolutely,
that was that. Oh, but there's so many, you know, like in a game, like something happens. It's like in that moment you were trying to do your best. Yeah. Like it's not like you went in that play. You're like, I'm gonna just let this end just run right by me.
Absolutely not. No.
But you're thinking about, okay, I'm blocking this dude. This backer's moving over here. Okay, who am I switching? Who's helping me and all that stuff? And in that moment, you're like, I want to do the right thing. You're trying to do the right thing.
Good intentions.
Yeah, you got good intentions. It's just, you know, something happened, or you're thinking so many thoughts, something rolls in your head wrong, and now it's like, okay, I made a mistake. But it's not like you went into the play thinking like, I'm going to make this mistake. You're like, you're trying to you're trying to do the right thing.
Absolutely. I want to ask you this, and then we'll wrap it up. I want to ask you, because you say you're thinking like thoughts in the play. Have you ever had those moments of like you almost overthink?
Oh, for sure.
You have. How do you tell me how you deal with that? Because someone that performs at the level you've performed at has to have a process as to how they eliminate the negative thinking or the overthinking to go do the job that needs to be done in any field, whether it's football, deep sea diving, skydiving, whatever. How do you eliminate that and just get back to Justin Bethel?
Yeah, I think for me, like for example, like when I'm at Gunner,
Gunner is, for people that don't know,
that
that's a position on special teams. He's running down.
Yeah, I'm running down trying to tackle the guy who's catching the ball.
Yeah.
So for me, like, I always notice too, like, a lot of times if I like preemptively think about what I'm trying, like what move I'm trying to make, if it's a double team or a single, those are usually the times where it's like I get caught up. And so like when I notice I do it, like I'll go and I'm like, okay, he's playing it this way. I'm gonna do this, and he's probably gonna jump there, and I'm gonna go around and just go by him. And then when it don't happen that way, and it's like I thought about how it's gonna happen so hard, and when it didn't go the way in my mind thought it was gonna go, now I freeze up because it's like, okay, I wasn't expecting that.
Right.
And then I always go back, and then that's when I tell myself, I'm like, okay, just do it how you always do it. Just play off of instinct. Just like play what you see. Don't
lean on what you know.
Yeah, you've been doing it for so long. Don't try and think about, what they're, because you can't control what they're going to do. So use your years of experience and just go out there, make your first move, and then play off of what you see, because that's usually how you end up winning.
I think that's good advice that people can apply within, even if they're not a professional football player. Like, lean on what you know and trust that your instincts will take over. Especially
if it's something you've been doing for a long time. Like, everything you've done and experienced up to that point is what got you to where you are. So like you have the experience that you need.
The ability.
You just like let that kind of lead, and not that you just take your mind out of it, because especially if it's something where you got to think about it kind of stuff, but let your experience, your good experience that have gotten you to where you are, kind of lead, instead of like trying to nitpick every little moment, because anything, so many things can be going on to change one little moment. So just kind of let it flow. Let it flow.
Yeah, that's good. That's good advice. I want to ask you one more question before we wrap up. What would be a piece of advice that you would tell anyone as far as, having other hobbies and having other interests and being able to be successful at them, for people that are listening that have, that want to break into a new space of doing something? You've obviously done that, and there's so much more you're going to continue to do. What piece of advice would you give to those people to kind of get them in the right direction?
I'd say find something that you're interested in, and then commit to it for at least 2 months. Because it takes about a month to 60 days to like actually create a habit. Like, there's certain things, like now it's like I've done it so much, it's like it's like people you get on Instagram all the time. It's like you wake up, like you probably can do it and not even notice you're doing it. Because like I fasted social media, and I remember like the first couple of days, like I'm just on it, and then next thing I know, I'm like, how did Instagram pop up? And so it's the same thing with wanting to pick up a hobby. Like for me, when I wanted to learn guitar, it's like, okay, I'm gonna play, and it doesn't have to be forever, just like a long time. Like I'm like, okay, for 15 minutes
a day,
I'm just gonna practice every day for the next 60 days, and then after that, your body will be so used to doing it that it'll be like, okay, and you'll be able to see. And then you'll get that feeling that I like. It's like, okay, as you do it, it's like, I remember the first week when I did it, I couldn't do that. Now I'm a month in, it's like, oh, I'm getting better. You'll see that progress. It's just staying consistent. I mean, that's what anything. Like, consistency is key, man. If you don't stay consistent with it, you're never gonna see no progress.
That's good advice, man. I appreciate you coming, bro.
Yeah,
I think, like I said, I've been talking about on this podcast, like, guys, especially like guys that are transitioning out of the league, and just people in general, of challenging ourselves to continue to expand our minds. And when I think about that, you popped in my mind, and so it was only right. This is like the first time that we actually got to sit down and have a conversation like that.
Appreciate it.
And I appreciate you pulling up. I appreciate you guys listening to this episode of For the Underdogs podcast, and I'll see you guys soon.
Yeah, for the underdogs, I'm an underdog. I've been through it all, I could never fall. I stand tall, I be on the road.